The Twin Cities and Minnesota can be a bit of a sleeper, but there are some people that are figuring it out, and today I'm going to let you in on the secret and give you the top 10 reasons why you should think about moving to the Twin Cities. I'm Mary Schumann, and I am a realtor here in the Twin Cities, but I am not a Minnesota or a Twin Cities native. I've lived in a lot of different places before we actually moved here, and I experienced what I expect a lot of transplants actually experience, which is a bit of like, who knew when we got here? I think that there is a healthy population of people that would love to keep what we have here secret, but I'm spilling the beans today. So number one is you get a two-fer. We are not just one city, we are two cities. So that's Minneapolis and St. Paul, which are separated by the Mississippi River, and the downtowns are less than 10 miles apart. Yes, people are oddly territorial about their particular side of the river, and each does think that the other is inferior to theirs. But in the end, if you live here, you really get to enjoy the character and amenities of two major cities, and each has a lot to offer. Minneapolis has a much more modern feel with skyscrapers, trendy condos overlooking the Stone Arch Bridge, gorgeous new sports venues like US Bank Stadium and Target Field, theaters and parks, along with about 9 miles of what we call the Skyway, linking shopping and restaurants downtown. St. Paul is the state capital and has a more historic feel overall. The terrain is a little hillier and the neighborhoods tend to have a more distinct feel. Downtown St. Paul is very pretty and has several theaters worth visiting, like the Ordway and the Fitzgerald. And it just has a cozier feel, and it's a little bit more quaint than its next door neighbor. Number two is the Burbs. If you're not into living in the city, the suburbs of the Twin Cities are nothing to sneeze at. On the west side of the city is Lake Minnetonka, and there are a ton of cute little towns that you can live in or just visit all along the shores of the lake. In summer, it's one of the most popular places for people in the Twin Cities to go and spend the day on their boats. The inner ring suburbs of the whole metro area tend to have more of like a walkable feel, with areas that have sidewalks and parks and easy access to the little downtowns of the cities, as well as obviously access to the big cities. As you move out and there is more space, you're going to find areas with newer builds, fully developed and flourishing neighborhoods, and each has its own attractions, from more lakes and big regional parks to the Landscape Arboretum, the Minnesota Zoo, Valley Fair Amusement Park, casinos, and the Mall of America. Number three, it's easy to get around. One of the comments that I made when I moved here from Chicago was how nice it was to be able to get from point A to B without massive amounts of traffic. I do think there are too many freeways cutting up the city, my opinion, but it does give you options. In addition, the cities and the state have invested in light rail, and there is a healthy bus transit system here, either within the cities themselves, or even if you want to commute by bus from the suburbs into the cities. In addition to cars, buses, and trains, people here take bicycling very seriously, and even in midwinter, there is a bike commuting report on the radio to give you an idea of what to expect in bike lanes and on trails as far as what the conditions are. It never seems to be enough for the bicycle enthusiasts, and I love riding mine, but generally spring through fall for me. When you move from somewhere else, the sheer amount of bicycle-friendly infrastructure here is very noticeable, and I mean bike lanes, bike paths, bike parking, bike shops, and also the number of people that you see utilizing it every day, all year round, is something to behold. One of the things that I've seen a lot more of in the last year or so are the cool Dutch bikes that act almost like a station wagon for carting kids or groceries, and e-bikes have exploded here. So number four is green space. Minnesotans are outdoorsy people even in the city. Both Minneapolis and St. Paul, as well as every suburb I've been to or can think of, have a lot of dedicated green space. It's highly valued by people here, and it's used heavily, and it really makes for a very pleasant and beautiful place to live. In addition to community parks everywhere, Minneapolis has what they call the Grand Rounds, and it is a 50-plus mile bike and walking path that links the chain of lakes in Minneapolis and then the parkway along the Mississippi River, as well as linking up to the path along Minnehaha Creek and Minnehaha Falls. St. Paul is no slouch either. They have 182 parks. There's bike trails on the east side of the river, and they also have the beautiful Como Zoo and Conservatory. Both Minneapolis and St. Paul are consistently ranked in the top park districts in the nation. The suburbs all have community parks and playlots, but the star parks and green space, in my mind, for suburban dwellers are the regional parks that do such an outstanding job of providing easy access to significant amounts of green space, including hiking trails and places to spend time outside in the winter months, as well as ice skating, sledding, cross-country skiing, and snowshoeing. Many parks have public swimming beaches and access to the water for boating or paddleboarding. Okay, number 5. I'm going to call this brain juice. The Twin Cities Metro is home to a multitude of educational opportunities, from the University of Minnesota to Augsburg College, St. Thomas, St. Catherine's, Macalester College, Hamline University, and a lot more. U.S. News and World Report also says that the top 10 high schools in the state are in the Twin Cities metro area, and Wallet Hub ranks Minnesota's public schools 6th in the nation. In the Twin Cities, students can choose options like language immersion, STEM schools, or performing arts magnet schools. Number 6, making the moolah. Minnesota has a 2.1% unemployment rate as of November 2022 and a healthy variety of businesses. Minneapolis, St. Paul aren't company towns, or at least they aren't one company towns, and I love that. Diversity means strength, so the metro area is home to 16 Fortune 500 companies, including names like Target, Best Buy, Land O'Lakes, 3M, General Mills, and a lot more. The Twin Cities have a lot of co-working space if you're an entrepreneur, not to mention the opportunities for employment in education and healthcare. Number 7, healthcare. The Twin Cities is home to highly ranked healthcare facilities and research institutions, including Abbott Northwestern, Regents Hospital, and the University of Minnesota Masonic Children's Hospital. In addition, the metro is less than 2 hours away from the number 1 ranked Mayo Clinic in Rochester, which really brings people from all over the world to take advantage of the best healthcare services in the world. All right, number 8 is we are not rubes. There is so much theater in the Twin Cities, no matter which side of the river you're on. The Guthrie Theater and the Children's Theater Company in Minneapolis have both won regional Tony Awards. You can see touring Broadway shows at the Orpheum Theater in downtown Minneapolis, or enjoy the Minnesota Orchestra, the Minnesota Opera, or more contemporary shows at First Avenue or the Dakota. The tip of the iceberg on museums include the Minneapolis Institute of Art, the American Swedish Institute, the Walker Art Center, the Bell Museum, the Bakken, and the Science Museum, and there are so many more. All right, number 9 is Chow, and I don't mean hot dish. If you like to eat and you're worried about living in Minnesota, meaning a steady diet of tater tot hot dish and lutefisk, let me reassure you, Minneapolis and St. Paul have some incredible restaurants that have won James Beard Awards, and if you're a foodie, you know what this means. Most recently, Owamni, which is modern indigenous food, and won Best New Restaurant and Best Chef Midwest for 2022. Spoon and Stable is delicious seasonal Midwest cuisine, and they won a James Beard Award with Gavin Kaysen as the chef. Ann Kim won Best Chef Midwest in 2019 and has Young Joni, and there are a lot of other finalist chefs here in the Twin Cities. So hey, even if you ignore all of those options, there are plenty of other great spots to enjoy. I finally got around to trying Moscow on the Hill for Russian food in Cathedral Hill neighborhood in St. Paul this year, and I want to go back soon. They have an entire menu of vodka flights and a strolling accordionist. It's delicious and it's fun, and Nicollet Avenue in Minneapolis has the nickname called Eat Street because it's lined with restaurants. One of the unexpected perks is that there are a lot of Vietnamese restaurants as well as East African, Ethiopian food, which I absolutely love. I'm also going to add the fact that there are a lot of specialty grocers here that serve various populations. For example, United Noodle, it's tucked out of the way and it's in a more industrial area, but when you enter, it's Asian food heaven. And speaking of Asian food heaven, Eden Prairie has just newly opened the Asia Mall with Asian groceries and Asian restaurants, and I cannot wait to try it. It's getting a lot of attention and excitement here. All right, last but not least, sportsing, number 10. Look, sportsing isn't my thing, but I know it is a thing for a lot of people, and we have the sports ball here. We have 6 major league teams, and they all call the Twin Cities home. So we have the NFL Vikings, the Twins in the MLB, the Lynx in the WNBA, Timberwolves in the NBA, Wild in the NHL, and the MLS Loons. And Loons doesn't mean crazy. That's our state bird. Maybe we're crazy. People are seriously fired up about the Loons, and Allianz Field, which is a gorgeous facility in St. Paul, is always packed for games. You can also see minor league baseball in St. Paul with the St. Paul Saints. So if you're thinking about moving to the Twin Cities, your head is clearly screwed on straight. And if you have any questions, let me know, because my contact information is down below, and I do love talking to people that find me on YouTube. Thanks for watching.